mind. Open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life. To live a conscious life. On the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great honor and pleasure to be here today. We are sponsored by Satya, and we are all about inspiring minds, healing hearts, and transforming lives. And so every Monday, we jump on and we interview, have a conversation with a unique individual, a soul-centered being that is channeling their time, their energy, their resources, their love, their creativity into doing good works in the world. And so today we have an amazing guest that you'll get to meet. But before we get going, I'd like to invite you just to take a breath. Just take a deep breath and give yourself permission to be here. Closing the door to the past and the door to the future for now, and simply bring all of your attention into this moment. So sit back, relax, and here we go with my first segment called Ask Allie. And I have a question that Blair sent in to me, and it says, "Hi Allie, I've been working in sales and I'm not enjoying it like I used to. It's getting harder and harder to go to work. I have a deep sense that there is more for me. I'd like to explore my options, but my job is so demanding. By the time I get home, I'm exhausted and mentally drained. I eat, I watch TV, and go to bed, and the next day do it again. I am stuck in a rut, and I'm losing hope for something better, something more meaningful. I have a lot of conflicting thoughts and feelings about what to do." Well, I'm sure many of us can relate to this. And Blair, I do have some thoughts about this. I know that when we're stuck in a rut, when we're spending all of our time and energy doing something that doesn't really light us up, it can be mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically, and spiritually draining. And so it sounds like it's time for a little bit of a course correction. And so, like the old saying goes, if we keep on doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, it's probably not going to happen, and it's going to cause us to go crazy. So it's time for some change. So you might like to try, this is something that I do every morning to get myself on track. And it's not only reserved for those times when I'm feeling out of sorts or overly stressed with what I'm doing. I do this on a regular basis. I've made it a habit, and it's become something that I really enjoy. And over the course of me doing it for many, many years now, it becomes a beautiful way to connect to that part of me that is beyond the linear thinking mind. It's that deeper mind, that more expansive, creative mind within me. And so here it is. This is what I do every morning. I wake up and I'm laying in bed, and usually, especially in the winter, I don't want to get right out of bed. So I just relax a little bit, and I give myself permission to explore all the things in my life, kind of like I run a mental little movie or a tape in my head of all the things that I'm grateful for, all the things in my life that I'm thankful for, my family, my friends, my health, the work that I do, the hobbies that I have, the books that I'm reading, the opportunities I have to travel or go for a walk, and that time of counting my blessings or expanding my awareness on what I'm grateful and thankful for actually gives me some ideas of things that I could do that I haven't done in a while. And so as I stay in that zone of gratitude and thanksgiving, it gives me this feeling of expansion, as though it's not just little me laying in bed with my little set of thoughts. It opens me up to a greater field of possibilities and potentialities. And it also lifts up my energy. My energy is raised because it's meeting the frequency of gratitude and joy and all the memories and the feeling words associated with those good times or those things that I'm grateful for. So that's the first thing I do. And that is a game changer. And so if you were to practice this, let's say for 2 weeks, I'm sure there'd be a different you that woke up in the morning and that got going into your daily routine. Even if it's the same old thing, the same old rut, I think you showing up with this different energy would change things. And then there's also the next step. So I'm laying in bed. I've counted my blessings. I felt grateful and thankful. And then I move into the mindset of surrender. I surrender into the universe. I surrender into the law. I surrender into the hands that know the how, whatever you call it, the infinite organizing intelligence of the universe. Maybe you call it God, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But I surrender into this greater presence, maybe my higher self. And I just have a sense in that moment of surrender that I'm not in this alone, that it's not just me doing this life. I'm about to wake up and get out of bed and go to work and do all those things. And I'm surrendered to the flow, the process. I'm not fixing my ideas or my mind on how things have to be. I'm sort of more open. I'm more available. I'm more allowing. It gives me a sort of a broader perspective on what might want to happen, instead of being sort of narrowly fixed on anticipating the work that I don't enjoy. It's more of a sense of I'm surrendered to what wants to happen. I'm surrendered to whatever task, whatever person, whatever opportunity, whatever assignment falls onto my desk that day. And I surrender to it, knowing that it's all going to be for me, that whatever occurs, whatever presents itself, is going to be an opportunity for me to expand, to grow. So with this sort of mindset of curiosity, of openness, it then it sort of opens up our eyes a bit to see maybe things that we haven't noticed before. Maybe we see bigger possibilities. Maybe in our usual humdrum way of going into the same old routine every day, we're not quite as aware of the opportunities that are there that we maybe overlooked. So wake up, be grateful and thankful, then surrender into the field, surrender into the support that's available. And then the next thing I do is I do a little prayer. I do a little declaration or affirmation. And I ask my higher self to give me the strength to be able to succeed at whatever's on my desk today, whatever comes my way. And I just make that request. I put that prayer, that request out there, and just be ready and open for whatever it is that comes my way, knowing that I'm going to have the strength, not only to deal with the to-do list, not only to be able to do the mundane tasks that I do every day, but also rise to a higher level when there's particular challenges. So when I do these things day in, day out, there's a different energy that I bring. And it also creates something that I call the zone. And when I'm in the zone, it seems like things are clicking along a little bit more easily. When I'm in the zone, I have a sense of oneness and connection. I seem to be able to tap into ideas and inspiration. It seems that things seem to flow more easily and smoothly. It's what we hear the athletes talk about. It's what we hear artists talk about, or someone that's writing a book. They get into a zone, and then time seems to have a strange effect. It either speeds up or slows down. And when we're in that zone, we feel right. There's a sense of goodness and ease and flow. And so, Blair, I hope this has helped. I hope that this has sort of given you a spark to tap into what's possible. Because what I know is, if this job isn't the one that makes your soul sing, there is one out there that will. But in order to be a vibrational match to that next iteration of you, or that more exciting career or vocation, we have to be satisfied with the one we have now, because that sense of satisfaction and gratitude for what we already have just makes room for that next wonderful opportunity to come knocking even more quickly. So thank you, Blair. And if anyone out there has a question and you'd like to bring it onto the show, you can email me at growingedgelive@gmail. And I'd love to hear from you. So thank you, Blair. And now we're moving on to the next segment of our show. And I'm so thrilled to be sharing my friend, Kim Boda, today. Kim is someone that I met years ago in Big Bear Lake, California. There she is. And we've just now started developing our friendship and working together a little bit, but we've kind of moved in the same circles over the past 20 years or so. And as I've been getting to know her, and having conversations with her, I thought she would be a beautiful person for you to meet today, and for me to get to know a bit more, and for us to find out together what she's up to. So Kim is a quantum coach. She's a meditation instructor. She's also a realtor, a wife, a mother, an adventure guide, and she works with the amazing Dr. Joe Dispenza. So Kim Boda, welcome.
Hi. So great to be here, Allie.
Yeah, it's really good to have you. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us how you got to be where you are, maybe your origin story, where you started. Have you always been on this kind of quest for mindfulness and meditation? And, how did all that unfold in your life?
Well, for most of my career, I've been in sales as well. So it's interesting that um, the the woman who called in and asked her question and said that, because I know how challenging it can be to be in a career. I've been in sales for a really long time, for about a little over 30 years. And that's really where my foot has been in the 3D most of my life. But along the way, I always had a very spiritual side. And so, like, for example, my first uh, introduction to spirituality was the Tao Te Ching and nature. And so I really got into that deeply. Being in nature is so profound for me. And the perfection of nature, and, just the beautiful patterns of leaves. And as you can see, I'm really into sacred geometry. And so I've always had my foot in sales and in spirituality, ironically. But in later on in my life, when I turned 50, I realized that it was possible to make a career change. And what did that for me was having a mystical experience during a meditation. And I got a glimpse of divinity. And so the the experience was so profound that I literally did a 180 after that experience. And I became trained to uh, teach meditation. And I also met Dr. Joe Dispenza because I had the mystical experience in an event, a meditation event that he was facilitating. And I wanted to understand what it meant.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was doing what's called a pineal gland meditation. And what was interesting is that I didn't even know what a pineal gland was until maybe, by doing his work. So I was introduced to it that way, and I was really flabbergasted that information has been hidden from human beings. I mean, the fact that it's part of our anatomy, and many people are like, I've never even heard of that, and it's literally a gland, and it rests in the center of our brain, and it actually can be awakened through breath work and um, just meditation, placing your attention on it. And I was doing the pineal gland meditation, and I was placing my attention on the pineal gland, and I activated it. And it's called a transducer. So what it is it's actually an antenna, and it picks up signals that we can't see. So if you think in terms of energy, we can't see 99.99999% of the of energy that's out there. We reside as 3D human beings in a certain frequency, and that frequency is all that we can sense with all of our senses. So, and that's very minuscule percent. It's like less than 1%, right? So it's a very minuscule part of how we perceive life. And so when that antenna turned on in my brain, I picked up a signal, and I got sacred geometry. I became the universe. I realized that I could be anywhere on the timeline that I wanted to. And I was everyone, everywhere, every time. It was crazy, Allie. I mean, it was so and then you come out of that experience and you're like, what do I do with this? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. I had a similar experience when I was 5 years old. It's yeah, it kind of changes everything.
It does. And you know what? Actually, what's interesting is that I realized that even though that was the very profound experience, that, by the way, that happened in 2015. And I ended up meeting Dr. Joe. I left that event, and I was at a cash register. I was buying some trinkets in the gift shop. And I looked down, and I saw this flyer, and it said The Mysteries of Wine in Italy. It was it was his first wine retreat. And so I threw that flyer in a bag, and I got home, and my partner and soulmate, Tim, he said, "Hey, what do you want to do for your 50th birthday? It's coming up." And I said, "Well, I think I want to go do this." And so we called, and we ended up going to Italy and experiencing the first wine tour. And I ended up becoming friends with Dr. Joe. I became a neurochange solutions trainer pretty soon after that. I mean, it was very fast paced. I mean, I became a meditation instructor around the same time as well. So, you can change your career. You don't have to be stuck. I mean, just because you've been doing something for a really long time. I still do real estate, of course, and I still have a wonderful clientele that I work with. But it's okay to be a spiritual person and sales.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just changed my life. So
Yeah. So that the event that when you had the mystical experience, that wasn't in Italy. That was at a different one.
yeah, that was so that happened in 2015 in I believe it was April or the beginning of May. In Carefree, Arizona was where I had this experience. And then the wine tour was in November of the same year
Okay.
in Italy, or October or November of the same year. So then, of course, I fast tracked because what you focus on expands your life right now. So I'm on this trajectory and this path of doing quantum work. And so my life has really been filled with quantum thoughts and coaching and just a twist on that in my life.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. I want to tap in a little bit more to like your family of origin. Were they spiritual? Did you grow up in a family that was that meditated or had any sort of religious leanings?
Not really. My mom is Chinese. She's fully Chinese, and my dad, he grew up in the South, and I grew up in the South as well. And I left California, in my high school years. We came to California, so I've been in California for a while, but now I've gone back to my home of the South. But my point was that uh, I did get influence of Southern Baptist origins with my dad's side of the family, and my mom actually, my mom was sort of I don't want to use indoctrinated, but my mom did was a student of Mao's teachings when she was
Mm,
growing up. So Mao was a huge influence. Mao Zedong, who was the leader of China, the Communist Party, uh, way back in the day. So her influences were mostly that, and qigong. She did that as well. She's Cantonese, so I got a little bit of both. And I think what stuck was the Eastern influence really stood out mostly for me. With the
mhm,
Tao Te Ching.
mhm.
And then, of course, it sort of morphed into Eastern philosophy, Buddhism for a little while. But really, when I was introduced to the quantum, that really, really stuck for me because I do believe in the law of attraction. I do believe in that law that we are creators. We create our lives.
Mhm. So, what do you think affected you most profoundly in your early days? When you were still living at home with your folks, and what was it that affected you to sort of spark you to be who you are today?
Um, Nature, being out in nature, growing up in the Great Smoky Mountains in the Appalachian Mountains, and and camping. We were not wealthy. I come from hardworking, people in the South, and we went camping for fun because it didn't cost a lot of money, and we would just load up the pickup trucks and go to this place. It's called Couch Mountain. It's in North Carolina, and it was acreage property that a friend of the family owned, and he would allow us to go up on top of the mountain, and we would find this huge meadow. It was hundreds of acres, and it was just us and cattle roaming everywhere. Right, there was a big, huge fence around the acreage property, but yeah, we ended up just camping all the time and being with our immediate family. My cousins and I would run amongst the cow patties and the and there was a fresh spring at the top of the mountain, and we just those were times that at the time I didn't realize how precious
Mhm.
and just beautiful, beautiful times. And that's
Yeah,
that's really what really shaped me as a person. And
yeah.
those were very mindful moments.
Have you always been drawn to live in very beautiful natural settings?
Yes, very much
Yeah.
so. I live in Big Bear Lake, California. I'm surrounded by national forest, and that's where you and I met each other. at the spiritual center. And so there is a beautiful reverence about having access to nature. I think it's
Yeah.
really important. Water, running water, or a big body of water, and just being able to hug the trees physically.
Yeah. So when you're out there in nature, and I'm thinking of some of those, have you hiked up to the lodgepole pine and been up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some just amazing, pristine spots in the San Bernardino Mountains there,
Mhm.
just outside of Palm Springs and Joshua Tree. That's where Big Bear Lake is. And have you been able to go out and meditate and have these sort of quantum experiences out there?
Well, sadly, once you have a mystical or a quantum experience, you begin the trek of chasing it. And I've since, had to be careful because there's just beauty and mysticism all around us. We just need to be able to um, to enjoy it in its present moment. But it's interesting because activating the pineal gland is a very active experience, of bringing the frequency in the body. So as far as mystical moments, I do still have those, but they're very subtle, you know, um, and they do happen all the time. But the grand pineal gland experience, I have to say, hasn't really happened in the way that it did that one time.
Yeah. I can feel that.
Mhm.
So I was reading in the bio that you sent, and it said about adventure, taking people out into the mountains, I'm imagining. Have you done that?
Taking other people out into the mountains?
Yeah, like leading them outdoors or doing things outside there in Big Bear.
Well, yeah, yes. Well, I mean, anytime I have a guest that comes to visit me, I'm definitely always taking them out into the woods. And speaking of lodgepole, we took some friends from Canada up to Lodgepole Pine, and that was probably a month ago that they were here. And it just, when you're out in nature, the thing that is so magical is there's no frequency. And, and, if we want to understand everything around us, because I'm always talking about energy, we are talking about energy frequencies. And what's nice is to get out of these energies of the electromagnetic types and things that cause incoherence, our phones, our computers, the power lines that are around us, and even like our Wi-Fi signals, our routers. I was on a podcast recently where we were talking about turning your Wi-Fi off. And I think it's that no frequency that is just so calming. It's just so calming. And that is what nature provides all of us. And if we can get out and even ground, take your shoes off, stand in the dirt or stand on your grass. And what that does is it calibrates the body, because the natural frequency of the planet is, what we're used to. As when we think back on our ancestors were carrying water and chopping wood and making their meals, gardening and putting their hands in the dirt. And so I really feel called to do that. In fact, we bought a farm in Tennessee. That's what I was saying. I'm going back home. And so life is about a lot of different things. We open up new doors. And
Yeah.
one of my goals is to grow more food and to have lavender and sheep and more chickens, and you know growing, just eating food that I grow.
That sounds good. Well, we're going to jump off and take a break for a minute, and we'll be
Okay.
back in 2 minutes.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
I'm back here with Kim Boda. Welcome back. So what's next for you as far as you're doing real estate? You're also working with Dr. Joe, and then I know that you have your own coaching, your quantum coaching. So give us a little snapshot of what that's all about. So what do you do with people?
Well, right now, I'm part of the research team that is doing the world's largest research on meditation. And so there's sort of an affiliation happening between Dr. Joe and the UCSD research team. And so what we're doing right now is I'm on the brain mapping team. So I'm helping to facilitate brain mapping. So while we're at these events, we are sometimes facilitating over 2,000 people at these events. And it was a great opportunity to do this research. And I know Dr. Joe's been really wanting to do that for a really long time because he is a scientist. You know, I mean, he's got a scientific way of teaching. And that is what really resonated with me as a student, is that, you know, it's about science. It really is. I mean, we can be in the 5D and just really tap into all this mystical, beautiful, amazing work, and we do. But there's also the aspect of research and science and bringing, you know, I mean, we are having people at these events that are spontaneously healing. And the human body is a incredible, powerful thing. We're incredibly powerful. We can heal ourselves. And so we're taking, blood, urine, brain mapping. We're using other different things. And I encourage people, if you want to know more about this, you can go to Inner Science Research. They have an Instagram account where they've been posting quite a bit. Inner Science Research, I believe. You know what? I'm going to have to give you that website so they can go to it. But all of the research is there. And also they can find the information on Dr. Joe's blog, because he blogs. He's got the most amazing blog that you can find all this information on the meditation. So I get to be a part of this meditation research. And, I don't really want to go super into it because it's not mine to really go into, but I am a part of it. I'm super grateful. It's an amazing team. We have nurses, scientists, doctors that are involved, and just really basically kick-ass people who love doing the work, who do the work, and they do the quantum work and create their lives. Oh, thank you. Inner Research. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
So I know I really want to talk about what you do, but I'm also interested in what happens.
Well, what I do is part. Yeah. I did want to, clear that up. But I do specialize.
Wait, I just have one question. When you're doing all of these things with him, and I know that some of it's not all like at big events, that like doing this research is probably, with smaller groups of people sometimes, maybe, I don't know. But, I've listened to lots of his meditations, really enjoyed them. I've read several of his books, really, really love it, done book studies with other people. What are some of the big things that you've personally seen, like manifestations, healings, like that have been significant, that would be like something that you could share that might help someone that's watching today say, oh, well, maybe I should go and research him, or maybe this is a path for my healing? Or is there, like, what kinds of results is he getting from the work he's doing?
Okay, well, I think where I should start is, what's interesting is I think a lot of people, when they think of the quantum work, they think of manifesting abundance. And I was brought to the work because I had to come through the real estate downturn back in 2010. It was at the height, and I pretty much lost everything. So when I first came to the work, I wanted to heal myself. I wanted to heal my depression. And because I was on antidepressants, I had lost, everything. I lost all my investment home, my main primary home, to foreclosure, and I was really rock bottom. And so I just wanted to understand how, I wanted to pick myself back up again, and I was in survival mode, basically. But what's really great about the work that I'm seeing now is I created abundance and much, much more, obviously. And when I did have that mystical experience, I realized that it wasn't about money, and it wasn't about, power. And it's about love. It's about connection. It's about being one with everything. I got that 1000%. That was so clear to me, that we're all connected through energy, right? But also what I'm seeing at these events. So fast forward to the events. What I'm seeing at the events is human beings that are harnessing, and they're tapping into the quantum, and they're harnessing that frequency of being in the quantum field, and actually writing their prescription for whatever it is that they want to heal and dropping it into the field of all possibilities. And it does require everyone to sit still, close their eyes. And of course, we're being facilitated and guided at these retreats. But
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing people that are healing. I'm healing myself. I'm seeing different stages of healing in myself that it's it's a deepening for me. But I have seen people cure cancers. I have seen people that are, and I know it, like I didn't really understand what spontaneous healing was, but now I understand what it means. And it's using the frequency of energy, and not touching other people, but doing energy healings in a big room. And what we're doing is we're connecting as a group consciousness, and
Mm.
we're healing people that are in the room. So we have people that we heal in the room. So and so it's hard. I don't really want to go too deep into it because
Yeah.
there's so much more. You can't you simply have to experience at an event. But it's what it's doing for me is it's deepening my understanding of energy work, and it's deepening my understanding of how important it is to uh, to really mind what you're thinking at all times, because it all starts with a thought. Everything begins with a thought, and then
Yeah. And I can see one of the comments here from Michael: consciousness creates. And your abundance made manifest, Kim. Thank you for sharing. So,
yeah, it is. It has. And now abundance to me is bringing everyone in the world together, and getting rid of separation. That's really what it's all about. It's anything that separates us is really not in our best interest. It's all about it's all about community right now.
mhm.
And I see that in my
So
community.
yeah. So have you found your purpose? Are you? I know we're always at the threshold of a new beginning or reestablishing our purpose. But has that been something that you've been able to identify, and if so, how is that purpose or that vision or that dream of yours manifested as your life? How is it reflecting in your everyday life?
Well, yes, I mean, as I was saying, I do believe we can change our future on a dime. We can just make one choice and then begin to create from that. And what I want to do, my purpose is actually to help people get clarity on what it is that they want to do, and how, and give people higher, help facilitate through my quantum coaching to help people with higher levels of success, well-being, and engagement in life. And this is a really particularly complicated time right now. I believe we're seeing a lot of interesting spiritual forces that are opposing one another right now. And I mean, I can feel it. I felt it for many years now. And I absolutely know that we're not crazy. And it doesn't, we can trust in that when we feel that. And so my purpose is to help others gain clarity, and to not lose sight, because it's challenging for me. So I can only imagine how challenging it is for other people. And what
Mhm.
I'm doing is, like you were saying, it's all about our habits. It's all about just getting right back on the horse when we fall off, and sticking to those tools of gratitude, and staying productive as possible, and remembering that anything that is taking us away, the negative news, anything that's negative, and really going within, staying positive by going within and letting go of the things that aren't really serving us, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. So, what do you do to stay on course when you're facing a struggle or a challenge?
Again, I go back to nature. I get out and I hike. You'll see me on Cougar Crest 2 to 3 times a week, and you might even see me. There's a tree on the trail, and I've got my arms around it, and I know it sounds really crazy, but I connect with nature, and so that's really where I go, and I meditate, and I'm with a community. I have a community here in Big Bear, and it's Thrive. It's called Thrive, and we meet once a month, and we trade seeds, vegetable seeds, and we just talk about the latest things that are happening spiritually, and what we think about it. We talk about other ways of financial systems. For a little while, we were talking about crypto and cryptocurrency and where things are going, the bartering system, and how we can help each other through challenging times.
Yeah, I remember there was a group that met here in Salt Lake, in Utah, where I am, and it was based on gift exchange, not so much bartering, I'll do this for you if you do that for me, but more the premise of these are the gifts that I have. And so everyone would just come to the group, the meeting, and share what gifts they have. And then there could be someone said, well, I remember my husband Michael said, well, I've got, strong muscles, strong back, and a truck. That was what he had. And then my gift was, I'll pray with you. And so people would just say, I'll go for, prayers with Ali, or I'll take Michael up on his strong muscles, back, and the truck. And somehow it just all works out, when we're just giving our gifts so freely, and we know that we're being in service of one another, that it doesn't seem to be like a cost. It seems to actually fuel rather than deplete when we're in that sort of gifting mentality or supporting and serving one another.
I love that. Yes, it is about community right now, and that's where I'm actually expanding more and wanting to create a bigger community. So I'm working on that as well. It's it's a work in progress too.
There's a great book. I went to see this Charles Eisenstein speak. I don't know if you've heard of this gentleman. He's authored many books, and our mutual friend Beth, who we also had on the show, had read his Sacred Economics.
Oh.
And the book that when I met him, I did a workshop with him and purchased his book. It's called The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. And he talks about the things that you're talking about, that I'm talking about: gifting, bartering, creating a new paradigm, a new exchange of monies, a new way of living, a new sort of structuring of, our cultures, our environments. And so co-housing, we actually met at one of those co-housing projects where there's sort of a group, main kitchen gatherings area, but then everyone has their own little homes on the same piece of land. So
like a little commune.
Yeah, like a little commune. I remember when we lived in Big Bear, there was a group of us that were talking about creating something like that. Never went anywhere, but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, I feel that way about our group, that when we meet every month, we're just kind of touching base with everyone and keeping each other sane. A lot of it is just about being able to chat and talk about maybe just things that are on the top of your mind.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have people in community to have those deeper conversations, because in life in general, we don't. It doesn't.
I agree.
Seem right.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm really, you and I talked about having elderly parents, and how it's hard for them too, because a lot of elderly people are closed off, and
Hmm.
all they have is their TV, which is very scary.
I
um, right?
know.
So I would love to see more engagement with, bringing in our parents and the elderly, and keeping them engaged in some way where they have some sort of community, even if it is a virtual community.
Yeah, I know there's the woman that created the song at the beginning of the show. I don't know if you had your volume up or you heard it.
Oh
It's
yeah, I watched the
Leslie
whole thing.
Monroe, and she does all kinds of musical stuff. It's almost like a ministry. She's not a minister, but she goes to nursing homes and takes her keyboard and does sing-alongs and really, brings a lot of joy to
I love
seniors
that.
that are locked in. And I think there's been some case studies or scientific studies on the fact that people that are struggling with Alzheimer's can be, I don't really know the right scientific word, but woken up, they're come back online with music, because playing music from their youth somehow puts their brain
Oh,
back, it
right. Yeah,
connects
right.
and has them get a sense of who they are, because many people with Alzheimer's have forgotten a lot about who they
Yeah,
are and who the people are in their
that makes
life.
sense.
Yeah.
Because, when you think about a song, when you hear a song, and it's from, your heyday, if you want to, I mean, I still think we're all in our heyday, but when we were younger, it sort of left an imprint on our mind, and maybe what it does is it takes us back to that that neural connection of that period of time, and when we were in that environment, right? And so it's like, oh, I'm back there in that environment,
Exactly.
and maybe that neural connection is still fairly hardwired.
I think it is. And, if you want to go a little bit deeper, that, is there really such a thing as time, or is it all just happening right now?
Well,
You know,
yes.
so we're
Yeah.
just going to that kind of dimension that, in our 3D world, we're saying is in the past, but it's actually still there, and we can access that younger self or those heydays or what have you.
Well, yes, and that is a very good point, because in the quantum, we can be everywhere and any time, everywhere and every time. So if there is no time, I do believe through the healing work that we're doing, all of us as a collective on the planet. I believe that is also about changing timelines, and actually, I don't want to use the words going back to that timeline, because it's not going back. It's tapping back into that timeline, and actually feeling uh how the body felt at that moment in time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Like
I
that.
take my
Yeah.
clients through a process where we visit a time where they were really on fire with something, really lit up, really in a place of high joy and flow, and in the zone, like I was talking about, and have them sort of connect with that energy. It's like right there within them.
It
And
is.
so it's within us, and when we can like tune into that dimension, that's really all the fuel we need to create a new reality.
Absolutely. And I do believe that many people who are spontaneously healing are tapping into that quantum timeline, if you will, and their bodies are remembering where they were before
Right.
they got sick, or before they manifested something that wasn't serving the body.
Right. And then there's this other wonderful idea that I've been thinking about, and it's about actually falling in love with your future self. And so you start to develop like this intimate relationship with, let's say, your 88-year-old self. And you start to ask her or him, how can I serve you? What can I do today that's going to benefit you and have create more flow and ease in your life, our life, the life, you know when you're
Yeah.
88. And so there's this dynamic, this dynamism of information and energy that's being, not necessarily moving forward in time, but just going into that dimension, that, that other reality where we are 88, or, so
Yeah, your higher self.
yeah,
That
exactly.
higher self timeline and tapping in. Yeah, I've had many, I've had a very good relationship with my higher self, and I do call on my higher self, whenever I'm challenged, for sure.
Yeah. So I can't believe we're at the end of the hour practically.
That's how it
And
works with you and I
yeah,
then.
I know. And maybe you can come back at a later date, and we maybe could, because I know that you and I are doing some Enneagram work, and once we've kind of nailed some of those details down, we could come and talk about that. But before we go, the song "What the World Needs Now Is Love, Sweet Love." It's been on my mind a lot lately. And so that's my question to you, Kim. What does the world need now?
It needs unification and, wholeness. Oneness is really what stands out for me. And the way that we get to that, there are many, many different ways, of course, but really, it's to heal ourselves.
Mhm.
That's our number one thing, is if that we can do our dark work, if we can do our shadow work, if we can really start with ourself, and what that looks like is it's getting quiet. Um, it's looking at the things that trigger us, and that's the dirty work. It's not fun. It's not fun work, but it's a journey to heal the self, and it's a journey of self-love. And you and I talked about that, a couple of times, how we really do believe that when we can heal ourselves and love ourselves, it gives us the chance to step out and to help others do the same, and to love others. We can take it, like we can't love anyone until we start loving ourselves first. That's the first.
That's the truth. And you heard it here. And we're going to have to go. Thank you so much, Kim, for being here today. And thank you for watching. And next week, we're going to have Dr. Michelle Whittington. She's going to be our guest. And so thank you very much. Thank you to New Thought Media Network. Mwah. Love you.